Michael Conley, is that right?
Yes.
Michael, God bless you, my friend. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for being on the Wiley Drake Show. We're live on the air right now from the Congressional Prayer Conference of Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen. We're also going to be going up on the air here in just a moment on Crusade Radio. Michael Conley, excuse me. Michael Conley, tell us who you are, who you're with, and what we're going to talk about.
Well, I'm Executive Director of the United States Justice Foundation, which is a constitutional law foundation that's been around for 35 years. And I am also a U.S. Army veteran. I have my own blog, my own talk radio show. I'm the author of 5 books, including a booklet on the Constitution, and a book about my father's unit in World War II called The Mortarman, which has become a bestseller. And my most recent book article is on the immigration crisis on our southern border, and basically the article is entitled Time to Close Our Southern Border.
Huh? Well, brother, thank you so much. We've been working. We've been down at Murrieta a couple of times already, and we're working. I'm also working with one of my old friends, Jim Gilchrist, who is with the Minuteman Project, and I'm his chaplain. And so we're working on this very issue, and we appreciate, we saw that you had written the book. Give our listening audience, if you would, the title of your book.
Well, the booklet is Our Constitution, and it's available at www.constitution.jigsy.com, and they can go to usjf.net to see what we're doing with the United States Justice Foundation. And if they go to the About section, Michael Conley, Executive Director, they can find the link to my blog. And there they can read that article and also the articles we're doing on veteran situation. We're working very heavily to help our veterans in this country who are having their constitutional rights taken away from them. We're working on the immigration. I've also written and posted on both websites articles of impeachment of the President of the United States, formal articles, which have been submitted by several members of the House of Representatives to the House Judiciary Committee. So USJF.net is the way they can find out what we're doing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, many of you that have been following this program for about 16 years now know that one of the cases that went to the Supreme Court was one entitled Drake v. Obama, and Gary Creep was my attorney on that, along with Orly Tates and some other folks. But that case went to our Supreme Court, and we thank the Lord for that, and we thank the Lord for U.S. Justice that have helped us in that, and we thank the Lord. Michael Conley, thank you so much. Give, if you would, please, one more time, because we have a lot of listeners, and folks tune in, they listen in on radio as well as on TV. Give the website again and your pertinent information, would you please?
It's USJF, for United States Justice Foundation, USJF.net. And there they can go to the About Michael Conley section, and they can find the link to my website and blog. And they can also find out on that link how to buy copies of our Constitution, where I take each article, each section, each amendment of the Constitution, print them the way they were originally written, and then I add my comments to them. And this booklet is on its 3rd printing. People are buying them not only for themselves and their neighbors and friends, but also to distribute to schools around the country, because our children aren't being taught about the Constitution. And they can also find out there about my other books, but they can read the blog articles. We also have the articles of impeachment on USJF.net, and the article on the closing of our southern border is on my personal website and blog. It will soon be on USJF.net. And people can also find the link to my radio show, which we broadcast live on Wednesdays at 3 o'clock Central.
Well, brother, we thank you for that, and we'll certainly listen to your radio and television show. We do a live television and radio show here every day at 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., and I want you to know that you're welcome to come on this show at any time. We've worked together with your organization, not worked with you personally, because it goes back a few years when before Gary became a judge, and but we praise the Lord for what you guys are doing, and keep up the good work, and we thank you so much for all the work that you are doing. And anytime we can help in any way, we're working very closely with the Veterans Organization, trying to get back our park over there on San Vicente and Wilshire Boulevard. And we're working over this whole issue because we know that there's some 18 or 19 veterans that commit suicide every day in this nation. That ought not be. And that's being done because they're hopeless. They give up and commit suicide, and we need to do something about that. And I know you folks are doing a lot about that, and we thank you for what you're doing. And as a twice-tour Vietnam veteran, I want to say thank you for what you're doing to help my brother and sister veterans in this effort. And if there's anything we can do, as I said, we broadcast here live every day at 9 a.m. and every day at 5 p.m. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you an incentive. If you'll get our brother's book, all you've got to do, once you get the book in your hand, all you've got to do is call my producer and say, I have the book, and I'd like to come on the show and talk about it. We love to do book reports. When we hear of a good book, we recommend it, and when people purchase it, we can't give you a discount or anything, but if you purchase the book, we will give you an incentive. You can come on the Wiley Drake Show. We'll give you 10 or 15 minutes, whatever you need, and we'll let you talk about your opinion of the book. And so all you've got to do is call my scheduler. His name is Bob. Call Bob Bosworth at 714-699-8657. That's 714-699-8657. Call Bob and say, hey, I have the book, and I want to come on and talk about it. And Bob will book you on here just like we booked this dear brother, and you can talk about his book from your perspective, and we give you that incentive to get the book. And brother, anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
Well, just that we need financial support, particularly for the veterans cases, because we have veterans all over the country who are telling us horror stories. They're losing their Second Amendment rights. 159,000 of them have been put on the list of people who cannot legally purchase firearms. They don't belong on that list. We have veterans who are getting their benefits stolen. I have a lot of articles on my blog about that, what we're doing. We're not charging these veterans or their families a penny. We're representing them for free. We've already won one lawsuit against the VA. We're preparing to file another one. So again, you people can go to usjf.net and they can look and see how to donate to us. And if you're a veteran out there and you have received a letter from the VA telling you that you're going to be declared incompetent to handle your own financial affairs and you're going to lose your Second Amendment rights, contact us and we will work with you to try to resolve it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, many of you know that back about 16 years ago, I started the Wiley Drake Show on internet radio, and a few years ago we went to television, which is where we're at now. You'll also know that I serve as a chairman of the Congressional Prayer Conference of Washington, D.C. But I say all of that to simply say you'll also know that back after I ran for vice president with Dr. Alan Keyes, that's when we got in this mess over the birth certificate, etc. And you'll also know that as we went through that, Brother Gary Creep, who was the attorney on the case at the time, and the U.S. Justice Foundation helped me. And ladies and gentlemen, you'll know that I talked literally for years about what they were doing for me. I'm talking about from a very selfish, personal point of view. They helped me immensely. And I want you to know, folks, I told this on Gary one time at a meeting we were at. I said, he not only didn't charge me, but he bought me lunch every time we met together to discuss the case. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of work that the Justice Foundation does for our veterans. They did it for me personally. So I'm here to tell you, folks, you get a big bang for your buck when you invest in your veterans. And one of the best places to invest in your veterans is this U.S. Justice Foundation. And God bless you folks for what you do. Give that website one more time for our listening audience. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where I want you to go check it out, and I want you to take your wallet in hand and make a donation to these folks. Invest in your veterans. Give that website one more time.
USJF.net. United States Justice Foundation.
Yes, USJF.net. Folks, go there and support these people. They go above and beyond the call of duty. They are excellent, excellent. Now, folks, I'm not an attorney, and I was not trained in law, but I do know the law. I've been in the courtroom many, many times over the years. The city of Buena Park came after me. The federal government came after me. The IRS came after me. And I'm here to tell you, folks, I've learned a little bit about the law, and I've learned this. You have to have a good, godly law firm if you're going to get anywhere. And I'm telling you, folks, one of the best, in my opinion, and one of the most godly law firms, in my opinion, is U.S. Justice Foundation. Go to their website, check them out, invest in their ministry. You'll not only be helping them, you'll be helping me as a veteran. You'll be helping other veterans, and veterans all across, literally around the world, especially around our nation. Thank you, my brother. Anything else you'd like to share?
No, I appreciate you being on, and I'd be glad to come back on anytime and talk about what we're doing and talk about my booklet and also my book about my dad's unit during World War II, which has been called the best book on World War II since Band of Brothers. So I'd love to be on your show, and thank you for all your good works, because we really need people like you out there.
Well, brother, we have dedicated this show. In fact, the matter is, I had on my show yesterday, if you go back yesterday, folks, on the archive, every show we do is absolutely live. We don't cut anything out. We don't add anything. Yesterday, I interviewed and had on the air with me my friend, Jim Gilchrist, who is the president and leader of the Minuteman Project. And we're coming up, we announced yesterday, those of you folks that are military and military background know that if a plane is about to go down, when I was in Vietnam, when we had trouble, if we needed help, we had 2 words we would shout over the radio or over the intercom system, and that is Mayday, Mayday. And that means distress. That means we need help. And we are going to do a thing this coming May. On May the 1st, we're declaring a May Day for America, and it's called Project Normandy. And that is indeed a World War II reference, obviously. And by the way, I am pleased to re-announce that some 5 years ago, I was there in D.C. when the World War II Memorial opened, and after we went through the opening of that, some of us got together and said, this is absolutely fantastic for our veterans. However, as ministers of the gospel, as we went through that memorial, we found not one reference to God. And we said that ought not be. This is a godly nation. This is a Christian nation, and we need to refer to God. And so we began to fight, and we fought, and we have won. And now both the House and the Senate have approved the D-Day Proclamation, which is a prayer that our president prayed over then the first presidential talks on radio, when our president declared that we must pray for those going into D-Day. And I want you to know, folks, that has been approved by the House, by the Senate, and even by Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Hussein Obama. It does have the presidential signature on it, and in the very near future, that display will be on the World War II Memorial. And the U.S. Justice Foundation had a lot to do with that. Wiley Drake had a little bit to do with it, and a lot of people all across this nation. And we can say another victory for Jesus and the good guys. My dear brother, come back on this show anytime. We're here every day for a full hour, 9 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you're ever in the Buena Park area, we'd love to have you in the studio so they can see you as well as hear you. Thank you so much for being with us today. Where are you located?
Well, I'm actually in East Texas.
In East Texas.
Our headquarters is in California. But when Gary Creep won the judgeship and they asked me to take over executive director, I said I would only do that if I didn't have to move to the People's Republic of California.
Amen, brother.
I operate out of Texas, but I travel all over the country making speeches on behalf of veterans and USJF.net, so I go to a lot of different places.
Well, brother, if you're ever in Southern California, we're just up the street from Knott's Berry Farm, just around the corner from Disneyland. And in fact, the matter is, one of my fellows drove a couple of ladies to Disneyland this morning here from our homeless shelter. They're here from Canada, and we made arrangements for them to go to Disneyland while they're here. So that's where we're located. And if you're ever going to be in our area, please let us know. We'd love to have you in the studio here at our little studio here at the First Southern Baptist Church in Buena Park. We're not very far from Hollywood. We do once a month a tour of Hollywood, a prayer tour of Hollywood, a 15-passenger van. And if you're ever out here on the third Saturday, we'd love to have you attend that. And anytime you're here in town, we'd love to have you in the studio. But in the meantime, we'd love to have you in the studio. We'd love to let you or anyone else that you would designate be a correspondent at large for the U.S. Justice Foundation and call in and give us a report on a regular basis. If you'd so like to do that, you pray about that, think about that. And if you have a journalistic major there or someone that would like to do that, we'd love to have a correspondent from the USJF come on the Wiley Drake Show on a regular basis, as well as have you come back. I know you're terribly busy, and I thank you so much for giving us this time today on the Wiley Drake Show around the world. And when you later, folks, if you want to come back and hear more of what this gentleman has said and what I have said, you can always go to the WileyDrakeShow.com. Simply click on the archive, and it will be up there today. In fact, today's show title in the archive will be United States Justice. United States Justice. That'll be the title of the show. You can come back and hear it again and hear the rest of the folks that are going to be on with us. Brother, anything else you'd like to share?
No, I don't think so, Pastor, but I will be calling in and giving you updates. I do that on a number of shows around the country, and I'll try to do that with you as often as I can. We'd
love to have that. We'd love to have you set it up on a regular basis, and this line is always open to you. Thank you for what you do. Keep up the good work, and if you see my buddy Gary, tell him Wiley said hi.
God bless, Pastor. Thank you so much.
God bless you, and have a great day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now I did not get us up on Crusade Radio, and Crusade Radio, I apologize for that, and I'm going to see if I can do that right now.
Hello?
Hello, hang on. Hang on just a minute with me, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, folks, we are up now on Crusade Radio. We were up on Congressional Prayer Conference of Washington, D.C., with that gentleman from the U.S. Justice Foundation and Mr. Donnelly, and we thank the Lord for him. And God bless him, and God bless their organization. But I had not put Crusade Radio up, and I just put them up. Welcome, Crusade Radio. We're live on the air with you now on CrusadeRadio.com. We're also live on the air with you on the Congressional Prayer Conference of Washington, D.C.org. And I believe we have another caller on the line with us. Who do we have?
Hi, Wiley. This is Greg Robbins.
Greg Robbins. God bless you, my brother. Listen, we had Greg on with us before, and ladies and gentlemen, we are moving ahead, I hope. Before we came on live today, you watched our pre-show, and if you did, you saw a 3-minute and 14-second. That's not very long, but it is very pregnant presentation. It talks about what Brother Greg is doing, and Brother, tell our listening audience about that video, would you please?
Yes, sir. It's a promotional video to raise money for a movie called Where Heaven and Hell Collide. We're telling the true story of how a man named Jim Peters has helped troops at Walter Reed Medical Center. And we're focusing on 4 troops in this movie, all of which are double or quadruple amputees. And it is a war story, but at the same time, it is a story of courage, encouragement, and hope. Because these men, Jim Peters meets them on the worst day of their life. People think the worst day of their life is when they get blown up or they lose their limbs. It actually isn't, because they go unconscious from the loss of blood. The worst day of their life is when they wake up in the hospital and realize what's happened to them.
Yeah.
And unlock Jim Peters. And we believe that this is a beautiful story of hope.
Hello, are you there?
Pastor Frank, Jim Gilchrist.
Hang on, Jim.
Jim was able to turn them around. It's God's gift to Jim Peters and to these troops. So we're raising money to tell the story, and I came on today because a woman has challenged people. She will donate up to $1,000 today, and she wants people to match her. And you can go to whereheavenandhellcollide.com and donate. You can call me if you want to know that it's nonprofit, so we would give you, the movie's nonprofit, and all the proceeds of the movie are going to the Gary Sinise Foundation. So we encourage the American people to step forward and help our countrymen.
Well, we certainly do appreciate you calling and appreciate you sharing with us, and we want the opportunity to share. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very important movie. I get involved in a lot of organizations and get involved in a lot of things, but this is one that I really want to be involved in. We're dedicating the Wiley Drake Show on our pre-show, which is on from 8 to 9 California time. On our pre-show, we're running that video, and it's absolutely free. We're not charging a dime to do that. It's absolutely free. All you've got to do is go to thewileyDrakeShow.com, and the first hour, from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. California time, and that's, of course, 11 a.m. to noon D.C. time, but you go there and you listen, and the tail end, right at the end, just before Wiley Drake comes on live at 9 o'clock or 12 noon D.C. time, you will see that video of those beautiful, beautiful people that have paid the price of losing their lives and losing their limbs to give you and I freedom. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know of a better investment today than to invest in a movie called Where Heaven and Hell Collide. Go to that website, and that website is a .com, right? Whereheavenandhellcollide.com.
Yes, sir. And you'll see the video of 2 of the troops talking, Sergeant Tyler Sutherland and Corporal Christian Brown, which both of them were triple amputees. Both of them were Marines. Both of them were lost limbs in combat. And Christian Brown, the second one that you'll see, is a recipient of the Silver Star, which is one of the highest honors given. After he got his legs blown off, he still managed to get his troops out of there, and then call in an airstrike on his own position, and he survived it.
Amen. Well, what a great group of heroes these are, and I understand in reference to this making of the movie, you're trying to raise the money to produce this movie, and that's a tough job. You have someone that's agreed to share and give a donation and match donations. And so, ladies and gentlemen, go to the website and find out about that. Invest in your veterans. If you invest in this movie, you're investing in the veterans. When you invest in this movie,
yes. we have a woman donating $1,000 today, and she'll wants people to match her up to the $1,000. And you can do that right now. Like I said, all of the proceeds to the movie when we're done go to the Gary Sinise Foundation.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, as a pastor, as the chairman of the Congressional Prayer Conference of Washington, D.C., and as the chaplain to the Minuteman organization, a chaplain to Oath Keepers, as a chaplain to other organizations, to the Minuteman Project, and to Operation American Spring, and all of these organizations, as the chaplain for those, and as one of the leaders in those organizations, I personally recommend that you donate. I don't care how little or how much, but I request and I ask you, please donate to this project. We've put our radio and television program behind it. We're going to promote it. They've got a trailer up now that's a little over 3 minutes. There's going to be another one up later. Watch for that. We'll be running that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're putting our investment in this where heaven and hell collide.com. Go to that website, match that lady's donation, and be a part of a great, great project. My dear brother, thank you so much, and you have a great, great day.
You too now.
Bye-bye. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Greg Robbins. Greg Robbins, and we're going to see if we can now, we had another caller in the meantime. I'm going to see if I can get him on the line with us. I'm going to try to get Jim Gilchrist on. He called. He probably didn't remember we were on the air. Let me see if we can get Jim. The head of...
Chaplain, how are you?
Fine, my brother. We're live on the air. I hope you know that. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege to serve as chaplains for several organizations, and one of those that I've served as chaplain since 2005 has been the Minuteman Project, and my boss at the Minuteman Project is Jim Gilchrist. Good morning, Mr. Gilchrist. How are you?
Oh, Pastor, you so grossly overrated me. I am not your boss. I am your friend. We're each sovereign individuals. Nobody has authority over anybody. As long as we all stay within the rule of law and
Amen.
acceptable conduct. Hey, I understand the First Lady is coming to Los Angeles today to stump for money for the homeless. Yet Mayor Eric Garcetti has been out there stumping for the acceptance of the children of these illegal aliens, tens of thousands of them that come to Los Angeles and be taken care of. Well, what's the story here? Are we going to ignore our homeless, 20, 30,000 homeless people in Los Angeles?
Well, obviously, Jim, we know that there's 25 or 30,000. We're not really sure how many because these men and women are on the street, and it's sort of hard to count and sort of hard to keep up with how many are out there. But it's been estimated that there's more than 25,000 veterans that last night when you and I had a chance to lay our head on a pillow, they didn't. They laid their head on a cardboard box or on a sidewalk or on their tennis shoes or somewhere out there in the streets. And that ought not be in the United States of America, when especially we're bringing hundreds of thousands of refugees in, neglecting our own people. And I remember growing up as a little boy in Arkansas, my mama used to say, charity begins at home.
I agree. My issue is that we have a mayor supposedly representing the people of Los Angeles who is stumping for the advancement of not the homeless in Los Angeles, many of them who are war veterans, but the refugees who are coming here against our rules of law, and essentially inviting more of the same problem. That was my point I wanted to make. That's why I called in.
Well, I thank you for calling, and it's a great point, Jim. And by the way, in reference to that, folks, I know for a fact, this is not fiction, this is not my idea, this is a fact, that there are more than a half a dozen Border Patrol men, Border Patrol officers that are on furlough today. They're not on furlough because they did something wrong. They're not on furlough because they are on vacation. They're on furlough because they were processing these refugees from other countries, and they contracted tuberculosis. They contracted scabies. They contracted polio, and they're on furlough, medical furlough, and these are young, healthy men, folks, that work for Border Patrol. They're on furlough. That's what's happening. I am a humanitarian. I run a homeless shelter. We help homeless people all the time. But ladies and gentlemen, even here at the First Southern Baptist Church homeless shelter, first thing we do if anybody has any illnesses whatsoever is we get them to a doctor. We don't want to bring them in here and contaminate the whole shelter. And yet, Barry Soetoro, Barack Hussein Obama, and the mayor of Los Angeles is saying, bring them all in here, contaminate everybody. They're not saying that, but that's in essence what they're doing. We need to take care of our own, of course. And I'm not even opposed to taking care of refugees, but we must do it legally. We must do it by law. They must get in line, and they must be screened so that all of those terrible diseases that are being passed to our Border Patrol won't be passed to your children and my children and to our neighborhood, because the mayor of Los Angeles and others are saying, oh, just bring them on in. We've got to stop that, Jim.
Who is the mayor representing? The interests of foreign nationals or the interests of the citizens and residents and of Los Angeles City, as well as the surrounding areas, Los Angeles County? Just who is the mayor representing? But I guess anyone who drops the F-bomb in his public speaking doesn't have a lot together upstairs. That's my opinion. I used to like Mayor Garcetti until he started using the F-bomb in his public speeches. I think that's grossly inappropriate and disrespectful and insulting to all of us. It's not the way to conduct yourself in public speaking. That's my personal opinion. Others, I'm sure, would disagree with me. Anyway, thank you for listening to my rant and rave.
Well, thank you, brother. It's not rant and rave when it's right. It's only rant and rave when the F-bomb is used and when other things are used. That's rant and rave. But what you're talking about is what is right. It is demanding that men be men, not filthy mouth, not braggadocious, but people who are right. And that's what you're talking about. And I thank you, Jim Gilchrist, head of the Minuteman Project. And Jim, tell us about, I've already mentioned it earlier in the show, but tell us a little bit about what I talked about a moment ago, and that is May Day. May Day, you veterans. Tell us about May Day.
That's Operation Normandy. It's going to be the largest assembly on the border and within the United States at all of the 51 Mexican consulates scattered throughout the country, the United States, for the month of May 1st through May 30 of 2015. It's going to dwarf the size of the original Minuteman Project.
Amen. Well, Jim Gilchrist, thank you so much. Tell our listening audience, if you would please, if they want to get in touch with you, if they want to find out more about the Minuteman Project or Operation Normandy, tell them where to go on the Internet, would you please?
Certainly. Thank you, Pastor. Visit us at MinutemanProject.com. That's MinutemanProject.com. Look for the Jump In button and or icon and jump in and volunteer to go to the border or assemble at any of the 51 distinct Mexican consulates sometime during the month of May next year. Let us know your feelings about this. We have to do something on
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to go to that website and jump in, folks. Jump in and be a part. Now, let me just say something else to you, too, that we're going to kick off as of this day today. We have already started declaring May Day, a nation in distress. But here's what we're going to do. On May the 1st, when this project goes forth, we are not only going to be, some of us will be boots on the ground. That is, you'll be at one of those consulates or one of those areas on the border. That's boots on the ground. Now, we know that not everybody can be boots on the ground. So on that day, we're going to be boots on the ground and prayer in the air. On each of the days in May, we will open a prayer line that will hook up with Jim and hook up with folks at the embassies, and you can not only go and be boots on the ground, but you can be prayer in the air. Thank you, Jim, and God bless you. All right, I guess we lost Jim. Not sure what happened there, but we'll find out. We still have Crusade Radio on with us. Thank you, Crusade Radio. And folks, why are we working with the Minuteman Project? Why are we working with Operation Normandy? Why are we working with the United States Justice Foundation? Why are we working with many other organizations? Well, let me tell you why.
The crooked politicians won't listen to our voice. They don't like the likes of Sarah, don't want us to have a choice. The TV news insults us, they lie about what we say. They sold their soul for a lie, they'll face the music someday. We are a Christian nation, no matter what is said. They took prayer out of our schools and teach our children that God is dead. Spending away our future on things we'll never use. Can't stay on this slippery slope of this power and abuse. We gotta take back America, put her back in her place. Raise Old Glory, tall and proud, wave it right in their face. Stand for the Constitution, stand for the Bill of Rights. Benjamin, Thomas, and George expect us to stand and fight. A brighter day is coming, they're gonna hear what we say. They'll face their day of judgment come the next election day. We'll put somebody in there who will govern us with truth. This time they're gonna listen or they'll get shipped out too. We gotta take back America, put her back in her place. Raise Old Glory, tall and proud, and wave it right in their face. Stand for the Constitution, stand for the Bill of Rights. Benjamin, Thomas, and George expect us to stand and fight. We gotta take back America, put her back in her place. Raise Old Glory, tall and proud, and wave it right in their face. I'll stand for the Constitution, I'll stand for the Bill of Rights, 'cause Benjamin Thomas...
They expect us to stand and fight, ladies and gentlemen, and stand and fight we will. And we thank you for that. Now, I want to share with you an email that I received today. And By the way, when we go off the air here, we're going to title this show, this hour show, U.S. Justice Foundation, U.S. Justice Foundation. And then we'll come back on again. We'll go off for about a minute. I'll grab a cup of coffee, and then we'll come back on. We're going to do a double show today. So right now we're still on the 9 o'clock show. And the title of the show today is U.S. Justice Foundation, U.S. Justice Foundation. And we're doing that not only because of that organization by that name, but also so that we can know the United States does have a just foundation, and it is the rule of law in this country. Now, I did receive an email today, or last night I believe it was, and it says to Wiley, that's to me, you are invited to participate in an international conference call with Israeli Minister of Strategic and Intelligent Affairs, Yuval Steinitz, today at 1 p.m. That will be at 10 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be carrying that here live. I'll carry my side of it live. I'll mute us if necessary, but we're going to be carrying that live, and if you'd like to listen in, just stay tuned to the Wiley Drake Show. Brother Matt Staver says, be sure to join him on this important call to learn the view in Israel from one of Prime Minister Netanyahu's key cabinet members. There's never been a more important time for you and me to stand with Israel, Matt says. Hamas rejects peace and provokes Israel to retaliate. Yesterday, Israeli leaders accepted an Egyptian proposed ceasefire agreement with Hamas. Minutes later, Hamas launched rockets raining terror on the people of Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, there are your peace-loving Muslims in action. They signed a peace agreement and then fired rockets on Israel. That is Hamas. Those are the peace-loving Muslims. After a measured Israeli response, Prime Minister Netanyahu told his nation that they will exert great force against Gaza's Hamas rulers. He said Israel has no choice but to respond more forcibly. And Mr. Netanyahu, God bless you, we pray for you, and we ask for shalom upon you. Hamas chose to continue fighting and will pay the price for that decision, Mr. Netanyahu said. They will pay the price. Mr. Netanyahu vowed to protect his people using surgical strikes. Ladies and gentlemen, when Benjamin Netanyahu makes a vow, it's not only because of his personal audacity and not only because of his personal integrity, but he is a man who studies the Word of God every day. Every day, ladies and gentlemen. Benjamin Netanyahu and his son spend time in the Holy Bible. That's the kind of man we're dealing with. And when Netanyahu vows to protect the people using surgical strikes, as a military man, he certainly understands surgical strikes. And as a Bible reader, as a man who loves the Word of God, he also understands what it means to make a vow. We support the vow that Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu is making, and we support the surgical strikes that he will take. With this kind of enemy, we'll take whatever necessary means that we need to take. I tell you, we will try surgical strikes. We're not indiscriminate. It's very tough to do that. There are always going to be civilian casualties, and we know that Hamas doesn't give a rip. They blow up their own kids just to get a rocket fired, and I know that for a fact. I saw with my own eyes a Hamas man firing a primitive rocket. However powerful it was very primitive. It had a very poor stand on it, and the stand gave way, and the Hamas rocket fell over and blew away this Hamas man's own child. And that's exactly what happened. With this kind of enemy, we'll take whatever necessary means that we need to take. I tell you, we'll try surgical strikes. We're not indiscriminate. It's very tough. There are always going to be civilian casualties, which we regret. But we have to defend our people, and that, indeed, is exactly what is happening, and that's what they'll do. Palestinian and Hamas terrorists are using civilians as human shields. I saw with my own eyes that Hamas rocket-firing fella use his own 9 or 10-year-old son to protect himself from being attacked. And his son paid the ultimate price and died because he was being used as a shield. In order to minimize civilian casualties, the Israeli Defense Force, IDF, warned civilians to evacuate before an impending attack. Yet Hamas authorities demand that the civilians remain as human shields. Those are the peaceful Muslims you folks are always talking about. And terrorist facilities are strategically placed near civilian sites, like this Hamas military compound. And you can go to libertycouncil.org and see this map, located adjacent to a school in a Gaza area. You look on that map, you'll see the blue area, that's a school. You look on the red area, that is Hamas strategic blowing up place, and we would encourage you to pray for those schools. Israeli Operation Protective Edge is their sword and their shield. Israel's operation, their branding of surgical strikes, is their effort to restore long-term peace and security to Israeli civilians by seriously degrading Hamas and other terrorist groups' capabilities in Gaza. It's time for America to step up. Barry Soetoro, do your job. It's time for America to help restore Israel's long-term quiet and security by stopping the funding of their enemies. Mr. Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Hussein Obama, cut off the money to Hamas, cut off the money to those that are destroying Israel. We must do everything possible on our end to stop empowering Israel's enemies with hundreds of millions of dollars of United States aid money. Ladies and gentlemen, we must stop the money to Hamas and to Al-Qaeda and to those people that are killing Israelis as well as their own people. A growing number of bipartisan members of Congress are calling for a policy review and to cease funding of the Palestinian Authority. Brother Matt Staver says, Wiley, we must seize this moment, and I agree. That's why we're calling for an immediate cessation of tax money funding Israel's enemy, the Palestinian Authority, unity government, which is assigned and aligned with Hamas. We must, ladies and gentlemen, demand that our politicians stop immediately the tax money, my money and your money, that's going to destroy Israel. There's a spot on their website where you can click and help buoy along this effort, defund the Palestinian Authority. This petition delivered by faxing key elected leaders. Go to libertycouncil.net. Go there, please. go to Liberty Council Action. Go to Liberty Council Action and sign up. Please pray, ladies and gentlemen. As a prayer warrior, we spend 23 hours a week in prayer, ladies and gentlemen, as the Congressional Prayer Conference of Washington, D.C., at our headquarters here in California, at our headquarters when we're in Washington, and literally all across the nation on our prayer communication channel. Go to Liberty Council Action. Go there, please. Join us at the top of the hour. We're going to be on that call with them, and we thank the Lord for the opportunity we have to do that. And if you'd like, you can listen in right here. We're going to go off the air at the top of the hour, and then we'll be right back on. All right? We want to remind you of that. We'll come right back on. The title of this show is United States Justice Foundation. United States Justice Foundation. We have that foundation, and we need it. Well, there's some other things going on that we need to talk about in this last 8 or 9 minutes. And the first one is an article that I saw, and I want to share with you. And it is, whoops. Good morning. God bless you. Welcome to the Wiley Drake Show. You're live on the air.
This is Wes Parker from Bellflower.
Wes Parker from Bellflower, thank you so much for calling, my dear friend. He's our neighbor right over here in Bellflower. Wes Parker, what's on your mind? You're live on the air around the world.
I have a question for you, and that is when we have these border search kids coming across the border, and basically they can claim to be 17, and we really can't prove otherwise. They could actually be well into their 20s. We haven't really done a background check on them to see if they have any history of rape or child molestation or violence. And to my knowledge, can any of these, I'll call them border kids, they are going now into foster care, and they very well could be young adults into a foster care family that could have other foster care kids that are minors. Could this put some, and I guess it wouldn't matter if they're boy or girls, because some of these, the border search kids, I mean, they could be bisexual, whatever, but it seems we could be putting adult males as foster kids with no background checks of history of rape or sexual molestation in with young kids, teenagers, 13, 14. I mean, did you have any thoughts on this?
Well, yes. In fact, we have a lot of thoughts on this. We're fighting this every chance we get. There are two or three reasons why we must stop this influx of refugees from other countries. The first one is, this is a biological attack. These people that are coming in, I don't care what age they are, they're bringing in polio, they're bringing in syphilis, they're bringing in scabies, and they're bringing in tuberculosis, which we had almost wiped out in this country, but they're bringing it into our borders, and they're not being screened, and they're bringing these terrible diseases in. Now, that's terrible in and of itself. We have Border Patrol agents right now on furlough because they've contracted these diseases. So, number one, it's bad even for Border Patrol. And number two, it's bad to bring them into my neighborhood and your neighborhood. And now what you're talking about is to taking it one step further. They bring those kids in here, and out of humanitarian services, we want to service these kids. They have to be somewhere, and so they're put in foster care homes by our government, and they're contaminating those foster care homes not only with these diseases, but contaminating these homes with, as you said, perverts and people who will abuse the children. So it's a double strike against us, biological warfare on America, bringing those into the foster care system that is damaging the system, and even on the lightest end of it, even if they don't bring diseases and perversion, they are bringing in the need to be fed and clothed, and our own children American citizens that are homeless and needy are not getting helped because the system is overloaded. And we take it one step further. One step further is we have more than 25,000 homeless veterans here in Los Angeles, and they've got nowhere to go, and the nowhere to go is getting worse because they're taking in, churches are taking in, and shelters are taking in these illegal aliens, and they're feeding and clothing and sleeping them rather than our own veterans, rather than our own children, rather than our own citizens of this country. I am a humanitarian. I run a homeless shelter and have for 26 years. But we're here to help Americans. We're not here to help humanitarian needs to the world that is out there wanting to come to America. So you're absolutely right, Wes. We must fight this. That's why on Friday morning and Saturday morning, we're going to be on the overpasses here at Yorba Linda Boulevard and 57 and Imperial and 57. At 7 in the morning, we're going to be there on the overpasses protesting this influx of this biological and financial attack upon our country. Wes Parker is a neighbor here over in Bellflower. What else would you share, my brother?
You're saying that what day? This coming Friday, or is it every Friday?
Well, this coming Friday and this coming Saturday. They'll be at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then later at 10 o'clock. There are going to be two locations. One is at Yorba Linda Boulevard, and one is at Imperial. Both of them just off the 57.
And I can get that information off your website, can I?
Yeah, well, the best way to go is just simply go to overpassesforamerica.com. Overpassesforamerica.com, and you can click on your state, click on find a group and so forth, and you can find out. But basically, for your benefit, it's going to be there on Imperial, where Imperial crosses the 57, and also where Yorba Linda Boulevard crosses 57. And that will be done 7 o'clock Monday, 7 o'clock Friday morning, as well as Saturday morning, and then at 10 o'clock Friday morning and Saturday morning as well.
Well, I'd like to thank you for what we're doing. I mean, we are facing a president in evil right now.
Absolutely, my brother.
I mean, what we have here is like President Obama is acting in the form of a dictator. He has told us he is going to bypass Congress, i.e. the will of the people. He is going to act as a dictator. And what he's doing is he's hiding behind children.
Yep.
And he's saying, if you want to stop me as a dictator, you have to lose your compassion toward these children that I'm holding up in front of you.
Well, you're absolutely right, and that's exactly what they've been doing to us here at our shelter. They say, times we won't take people in if they're contaminated. If people refuse to go to get a medical examination, we're not going to take them into our church shelter. I can't risk that because we have boys and girls, men and women, that are very vulnerable. They're homeless themselves. They're living here at our shelter, and they're very vulnerable to illness and sickness. And so we're not going to bring in a bunch of sick people to contaminate our people. And that's what we must do. We're doing it as a small church and a small shelter, but we must do that as a nation. And yet, Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Hussein Obama, say, oh, well, you're not a humanitarian. You hate Mexicans. You hate people of color. You hate people, and on it goes. Nothing could be more farther from the truth. We're here to help people, but we must control our help. We can't help everybody, and we must indeed do what needs to be done. And Barack Hussein Obama is absolutely out to lunch as far as I'm concerned on this whole issue.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. You're doing a great job there. America, we wouldn't know what to do without you.
Well, thank you, my brother. God bless you and have a great day. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the time now for us to come to the end of our program. We're going to go off the air in just about a half a minute, and then we'll be back in about 5 minutes. So if you want to get an opportunity, if you want to get to this program, simply go to thewileyDrakeShow.com. We are going to be going off in just a moment, and the title of this show today is United States Justice Foundation. United States Justice Foundation. And we'll come back right after the top of the hour with another show. Good day. God bless you. Remember, do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Okay, put that